Hello, welcome to this live broadcast on QTV. I am Mamadou Mbodj. This is a WHO program, a World Health Organization program. I'm in collaboration with the Ministry of Transport, Works and Infrastructure and the General Transport Union. So today we are going to talk about aggressive driving, which is responsible for a significant proportion of all car crashes on our roads. So today we will discuss what it is, its manifestations, the causal factors, and what can be done about it. And I've got in our studio, three interlocutors. On my left, I've got Mr. Mamadou Gassama of the WHO. And on my right, I've got Mr. Ansumana Kasama of the Ministry of Transport, Works and Infrastructure. And on his right, we've got Mr. Omar Sise, who is the President of the General Transport Union. Gentlemen, welcome to the program.
Thank you.
Thank you.
You're welcome. So today we're going to talk about aggressive driving, as I said. But Mr. Gassama, just to kick us off, this program is part of a project to, as it were, put the brakes on road traffic accidents, isn't it? To give us a bit of background of that project before we sink our teeth into tonight's topic.
Thank you very much. I think my colleague in the Ministry of Transport
Will do
would
that.
be the best
Absolutely.
to answer that. But it's all the same. We as an organization, World Health Organization, we are only supplementing what government is doing. And we are also participating in a multi-sectoral committee, in a multi-sectoral platform that is responsible for looking at road safety issues. And that is coordinated by the Ministry of Transport.
Mr. Kasama, you can come in.
Yes, thank you so much, Mr. Mbodj. Like Mr. Gassama rightly mentioned, this is a very important program. It is part of our annual work plan in fact, before we embark on these kind of programs, we conducted what we call road safety opinion survey. And we came to realize that people have less access to information. And then there is need for awareness if we want to bring sanity on our roads. So those were some of the reasons why the ministry with stakeholders came up with these sensitization programs on TVs and on radios as well.
Absolutely. So now let's get to the topic here. Aggressive driving. Who's going to begin here? We all think that we know what it is. I mean, speeding, that's obvious. But surely it's got many manifestations, doesn't it?
Yes, I think this is the model of the risk factors. You remember when we started this program, we were looking at two essential pillars. The first pillar is prevention, the other pillar is risk factors.
Yes.
And if those who were following us, we discussed quite a number of issues here surrounding speeding and other things, distracted driving. Now, this is one of the risk factors that is very contextual. It's difficult to explain, to have a general definition. It depends on your context. It's a very broad, phenomenon that, scientists, experts do not fully agree on the, a universal definition. But what we can tease from, glean from literature, from experts, is that it's something to do with, violent, behaving, engaging in a behavior that is, that is that's risky to, the other party, maybe, the other road user. So, in a nutshell, this is it. But there are many manifestations into it, and two critical things that we need to understand about aggressive driving is the intention and the awareness. You are doing it deliberately. You know it. It's a deliberate attempt. It's not like any excuse. You do it deliberately, and also you are conscious of it. So that makes it a big of a challenge. And then because the human factor is there, which is obviously is what we are discussing, but there are other environmental factors, internal and external factors, responsible for people behaving this way.
I said, Mr. Kasama, your view on that?
Yes, my view on the aggressive driving,
Yes.
I would say it is dangerous driving and disregarding safety on our roads. The reason why I said so is because let me take for example the issue of speeding. Speeding is one of the examples, and we see people speed and it's intentional. And when you speed, obviously the likelihood for you to involve in a crash and the severity also is very, very, very huge. So aggressive driving, it is something that is intentional. Yes, in short, and which is very dangerous. It's not only harmful to, it does not only cause crashes, perhaps also it may cause damages to people's properties. When you look at our roads here, we see it's chaotic, as if we are competing. This thing applies to all the categories of drivers, be it commercial or private drivers. Sometimes you're using this Westfield Tabokoto highway. You can't imagine, Mr. Mboj. It is very sorrowful. The way we drive on our roads is very crazy, dangerous.
Well, you've got the president of the Transnational Transport Union. You represent the drivers here. So from your angle, how do you see aggressive driving and perhaps responding to what Mr. Gassama also said?
Thank you, Mr. Mboj, with my uncle, Mr. Gassama, and Mr. Kasama. I think Gassama and Kasama. Yeah, my view in aggressive driving is going beyond the limitations.
Beyond the speed limit?
Let me call it limitations.
All right.
Like even the motor traffic regulations, the traffic code, traffic sign. If you are following the protocols, you cannot do aggressive driving. But if you are going beyond that, that's aggressive. Because we all know the traffic have a codes and signs. You need to direct the driver who is driving, who is in the sirens. So if you are going beyond that, so that means you are going limitations. Because look at our traffic. You can start in diverting from point A to point B. Or sometimes you are using double signal, you are flowing the other dangerous zones. Or you are driving a vehicle without not headlights, without no signal, no brake. These are all aggressive driving. So for my observation is, it's going beyond the limitations. Because already we have system who are guiding the driver on the road. So if you are going beyond that, you are aggressive.
But this is it. This is what I think Mr. Kasama was saying. That's we all know what we ought to do. Mm-hmm. Perhaps the problem is what we do is completely different from what we ought to do. And this is what we want to address, isn't it? So why is that? Why is it that some people, perhaps from the driver's angle, why is it that some people, perhaps most, given the scale of the problem, they go beyond the limitations, as you call it?
For my view is why people are doing this. First and foremost, they don't respect the regulation at the highways, and that's the most important aspect. Because only driver at the road, the most expectation from you to respect the traffic code and traffic signs for your own safety and other road users. At the same time, the time factors, because you need to plan your trip, your journey. Like for example, Gassama knows he's coming to QTV by 9 o'clock. He prepared this before the time. That's why it's arrived here before the time. But if your program is supposed to start by 9 o'clock, you want to depart by 9 o'clock, you cannot make it. So at the road,
and there you'll probably speed and the pressure.
Yeah, you cannot allow the traffic to flow accordingly. So you will do something beyond the limitations. I think most important aspect also attitudes, because we already know this. This is not good. This is aggressive. This is dangerous. This is reckless. But still, we are forcing ourselves to do this. So I think most important aspect, our attitude.
That's interesting there, and I think it segues into the next question I was going to go to. The motivation, isn't it? The motivation for such aggressive behavior, impatience.
Yeah.
Just as somebody else said, I mean, you are in a hurry to get somewhere, but you are late.
Yeah.
There are all sorts of things that motivate.
Absolutely right. It's a human behavior. As I said, it's situated internally and externally. Internally is the human being himself or herself. Why am I doing this? Those that, you are probably, like he said, you are running for a very important meeting and you're running late. Or you're going to catch a flight and you're almost missing your flight. You are, So, or maybe you are going to work, and you're almost running late. And there are times, the research has shown that some people are impatient because of traffic delays and traffic jams.
Conditions, yeah.
Because when we look at aggressive driving, let's open up the box a little bit. One of them key is, diving, like you said, diving in and out of the traffic. And we have seen it come.
Changing lanes, yes.
I have seen drivers who, when they are impatient, they're in the queue is very long. We all know about it now, the traffic jam at peak hour. Now they will leave the lane and go to the footpath. And they will now, if there is no police, they will run. They will just move fast. And when there are police, they start to, they start to join the lane again. So this is what we'll call also, this is a typical example of aggressive driving.
Yeah.
And also, using unofficial route, unofficial way. For example, a good example is you are on, there is a footpath, and you are on the queue. You don't care about, because you are impatient. You just move, you leave the queue and then, run on the footpath. That's not fair. So usually, I am an example. I was nearly knocked by a vehicle, because I was walking, hoping that this is an area for us as pedestrians. But this, because of impatience, I don't know, as I said, one reason for it is impatience also. People are very impatient. I want to do this, I want to go on time, I want to reach it. So, like he said, a lot of factors are there. Externally, of course, like I said, it could be traffic jam, it could be the heavy traffic, all these things, and even the emotion, There are some people who are under stress. Some research has shown that people go for, or they do aggressive driving because they are under stress, pressure, because you want to achieve something. So it's a very big box, and the human aspect of it, you need to really dig into it. And why are you under stress? Again, causes of the causes. You will go on and on and on until you see the root cause. So why are they impatient? It's maybe because the road, there is the traffic jam, there is heavy traffic. Why is the heavy traffic? You ask yourself. Then there's another road. Is the road big enough? Or maybe because the population of the cars are more than the road. And people also in the Gambian here, in our own situation, people all move out of their houses at the same time. So you see, now he's saying, his assertion is that you program your trip. You program your trip. If you know you want to be at office at 8 o'clock, you don't have to leave our office or home at 7:50. It's not possible. Even if you take an aeroplane, even if you fly, you'll be late.
Absolutely.
So the best thing is to program yourself. If you are somebody who sleeps a lot, why not go to bed early? So these are typical human, behavior, attitude that you and I cannot change. That the individual has to, program himself or herself to be able to get rid of this menace.
That's it. Combined with, of course, the policies of state government, how it regulates behavior, how it helps, because you have the two together. But this is it. I suppose I'm going to have to ask you this. What's the strategy dealing with this multiplicity of factors regarding the human being that we want to change, as it were?
Yes.
There is this awareness, obviously.
Exactly. Awareness is there. But also there should be stringent measures and regulations. And those regulations must be, implemented to that. there comes in the enforcement. We have better regulations in place. We enforce them. That will deter people from doing this recklessness on our roads. But
absolutely, that's one bit. And you also, your bit will come in. I wonder, do you organize kind of sensitization programs amongst drivers so that they will understand the risks? While one might behave aggressively, then one becomes watchful, isn't it? When you are self-aware, then you may come up with countermeasures, as it were, to these aggressive impulses sometimes. Do you have any such programs to sort of discipline drivers in this way?
Yeah, we have it. We have series of programs with drivers in our garages. But sometimes it's very difficult to gather drivers if the working time, the working period. Because sometimes if some of them will think, if I will spend 30 minutes, I will lose millions daily. Because maybe the air condition also is not visible. But it's very difficult, but we are engaging them through, and now what we are doing, we created was a page. And every Saturday, Sunday, because Friday is less busier, we have a lecturing. We have people who used to do the awareness with them, raise some questions so that they can start, bring their question and somebody guiding them. And this our regional level also we are doing this. And at the same time we are collaborating with Ministry and the WHO so that we can engage and build their capacities. I remember this year we have 3 programs. We have one in North Bank, West Coast, and URA. Fonyi, we have collaboration with the Fonyi youth. Some people have 2 days vehicle workshop, bring 50 drivers from across the country. We spend 2 days together. So we are, build their capacity through aggressive and defensive. How to protect yourself in the traffic. Because somebody can drive safely, somebody from nowhere will come and knock you. So how can you protect yourself? Well, I'm following my lane, but you see Omar is coming with reckless or aggressive. You also need to protect yourself during the period. And at the same time, and radio programs.
You have to protect yourselves within the regulations.
One would like to
think. One understands and imagines the situation, but
because
it must be
Gambia
within
here,
the
what am I
regulations.
seeing in this aggressive driving? Particularly in the Greater Banjul area, you see like ambulances moving on the emergency. You see vehicles started following him. They are not in the emergency line. Or we see even some authorities, we can call them, they go opposite the traffic. They go against the traffic. So these are all aggressive.
You mean authorities would do what?
They go against the traffic. Like for example,
they break the regulations.
Yeah, they break the regulations. So what most important aspect here is the timing. Because we all know you need to be in office by 8 o'clock. So from Brikama to West, you cannot be 30 minutes, you cannot do that. So you need to prepare yourself before going out. But if you go out by 7 o'clock, we expect traffic to congest. So in that period, if you want to, because you have appointment, you need to have a seat to start meeting by 8 o'clock, you cannot make it. So obviously you do something wrong. So I think what was in planning is most important, and try to behave like, qualified or professional driver at the highway. But sometimes it's very difficult. We all used to do it. We all used to do it, but we need to change our attitude. If we are in traffic, we know the traffic records and signs. If we are avoiding them, we can, avoid this aggressive or dangerous. If you, according to Mr. Kasama, if you go through Motor Traffic Act on the dangerous driving, minimum charge is $10,000. Minimum. How many people are, are violating that act? Following the footpath, driving, overtaking within the residential areas, overspeeding within. These are all offense. They are all part of the aggressive driving. They are dangerous. So I think enforcement also is lacking, and the attitude, but interference also, because we all know what's happening. If
interference from
we citizens, like Kasama is a police officer. My brother violated the brother. I call him. It's my brother. So now I'm affecting Kasama to do his work. This is all happening. So I think we all need to look at in our attitude, the way we are behaving, so that we can, try to bring solutions. But the way things are, I think it's going to be very difficult. Any individual has a role to play here.
So all your members are also behaving like that?
Yes, including myself.
Including you. Now, Mr. Gassama, we've seen there the scale of the issue here, isn't
Exactly.
it? You know,
Yeah.
Multi-sectoral, if you like, so many different inputs, multidimensional, isn't it?
Exactly. It's multidimensional, definitely.
So this awareness campaign, this goes to the very heart of it. It's not simply the commercial drivers, the commuters, private drivers.
Exactly.
It includes everybody.
It includes everybody. It includes everybody.
Even the cyclist.
Exactly.
Because like we said, we can unpack the box. You know, he has mentioned some elements, and there are many others examples that you can give. You know, like even the, he mentioned about disregarding running red lights, running speed lights. Speed signs, and all these things are really very good examples of aggressive driving. But what I can say here is, to sum it up, is a behavioral or attitudinal problem. Now, of course, influenced by internal and external forces. This is, how do you approach this as a human being? Behavior change or attitudinal change is coming. What measures do you put in place? One of them is this is one of the 3 E's of road safety, which is education, engineering, and enforcement. Yeah. So that's why when you are talking about road safety, you have to be talking about different issues that are interdependent. As a human, you don't only talk about the human behavior here, but what is responsible for that human behavior. You have to look at externally that individual, look at the individual, open the box, look at what is the external environment surrounding that behavior. So as a human being, let's tackle with the human being first. What your knowledge, do you know about this risk? Because one thing, Mr. Mboj, is the mindset of, I'm part of it, but the majority of road users, whether you are a driver, whether you are a pedestrian, is the risk perception. Risk perception in this country about road safety is very low. What I'm saying is, why I'm saying this is, whatever you do, whatever action, whether you are a driver or whether you are a pedestrian, assess the risk. Do we assess it? Most of the time we don't. Am I going? I want to do this. If I do this, is it going to harm me? Is it going to harm the other person? Is it going to lead me into trouble or into collision? This is the mindset. That is where the catch is. How many of us are? That risk perception. How many of us? Assess the risk of what we do, our actions. So as a human being now, because we are talking about aggressive driving, the human factor. What do we do is to educate the person. These are the risks, and a good example he has given is some research have shown that if you also train drivers on defensive driving. In fact, I read in one of the books, it said, if you are a driver, most of the time, when a patient, a very qualified and a qualified and careful driver driving in traffic usually is the trigger. It triggers aggressive driving for those who are impatient. I'm giving you this scenario here. When you are doing correctly, you're doing everything. Somebody somewhere said you are too slow. The other say you are too slow for the traffic. Then you see, but the person says, the author says, all you need to do is please don't engage in that. Don't look at the eyes. Don't engage in any discussion. Leave that person. Your ultimate objective is that person to be away from you. Because, again, it can trigger what we call road rage. Road rage is another thing where, we have to avoid. Road rage. Once you have road rage, which means anger and everything, you have a problem.
It's when you resort to violence.
When you resort to violence. So you can see some people, I've seen some people who, because of road rage, they will, alight the car and then start to fight, blocking the traffic.
We've even seen a murder.
Yeah, exactly, and it can even result into a fight or maybe murder, as you rightly said. So this is road rage, and this is all aggressive. This is a end product of, aggressive driving. So you can imagine, and there are times also you block the road, you block the way. I have seen that. I mean, I have seen that. I mean, I have been. I mean, we enter vehicle, we all ride. I have seen instances where I was in a car when the other car behind us was driving very fast and trying to overtake. But this person who also, the car that I'm riding, I'm on, you know, also wants to increase the speed. Said, no. Please leave this person to go.
Aggressive driving.
Aggressive driving. And you are racing now. I said, are you racing with him?
Yep.
Don't race. Leave that person to go. And this is what some of these actions, this is what is caused by some of these actions. This is human error. Somebody is overtaken, you say, my car is faster than your car. Why are you, can this person overtake me? And you also increase your speed. And when you increase your speed, that person will be in the middle now, and there could be head-on collision if there's another vehicle coming. And these are some of the accidents, these are some of the reasons for accidents. So a lot of these, that's why we call it here, we don't call them accidents. They are events, you know, that can be predicted and prevented. So you can see the human error surrounding this aggressive driving. And the external environment, again, is, you know, the bigger picture, which is beyond the individual now. Because the individual, you can only educate, increase the knowledge, you know, advise, whatever you want to. Of course, the external one is now the law is waiting for you.
Absolutely.
The law is now waiting for you. If you, like you said, somebody said this Muslah syndrome here. I like that word. You know, I mean, we all know each other. You know, Gambia is a small place. But we have to be honest to ourselves. Enforcement has to be there. And enforcement begins with yourself. You as an individual, you don't wait for the police to enforce the law. You know the traffic, he rightly said, the traffic signs. The road is speaking to you. But you ignore the road, those signs, because those signs are, the road is not a human being, but those are communication gadgets, communication tools that you should use to use the road safely. How many of us do that? When there is no police, you cross the line. There's no police here. That's why I like, when I saw the police last time, not long ago, they were on the road most of the time, you know, on the road. This is fantastic. But again, causes of the causes, do they have enough resources to do that? So you can see it's multidimensional.
Yeah, absolutely. At least in some countries, advanced countries, technology has come in to help. Speed cameras, red light cameras, and the like. But of course, we do not have that luxury. So it really makes it difficult to come with a policy that will give us the right outcomes. I wonder, how do you measure what impact you're making out there? Because that's the important bit, isn't it? I'm talking about from the minister's point of view. How would you know what impact that these campaigns, these programs, your policies, what impact they're having on people? Yes,
we can know that through the rate of accidents happening in the country.
It's quite high right now.
From where, if we collect the accident data, we will be able to know the impact of these awareness campaigns. Yes.
Do you think it's having any impact on your members?
Yeah, because most of the program, even right now, some of them are following it.
All right.
They are learning through it. After the program, even some of them, because sometimes most of the issues, I will intervene. Exactly, I will, guide them during the process. Even sometimes, if I see somebody's behavior, I will call the police at the front. The guys can park the vehicle. Now, I want to be a witness, just to guide each other. But it's very challenging, truly speaking. It's very challenging.
It's very challenging. Okay, so I wonder, what resources might one need to be able to accomplish what you want to accomplish? What would you say? I mean, it's challenging, but one wants solutions, isn't it? We're all looking for solutions. So we just don't end there. What do you think? What kind of resources would you need?
That is a very...
Is it new legislature? Is it legislative? Is it funding from government? Is it private sector?
For me,
what would you say?
My recommendation is going to be to have lead agency on road traffic or road safety. Lead agency who is responsible for the road safety activities in this country, so that the agency will look at the way the ministry is working his policies, and the way the police are enforcing, and the way we are operating. So he can do the analysis, so that he can claim this is how the problem as of now. But for example, today, if you ask me, I will say our people are doing very well. If ask the police, they will say they are doing very well. If you ask them, they will say, which is which now?
But the statistics show that somehow we are not doing that well because these numbers are quite high.
So who have the responsibility to make that assessment and bring some final recommendation? That is the lead agency. I think most of the countries, because today I'm part of the ITF, International Transport Federation. I see some countries the way they are operating. I'm part of CESCAO, West African Transport Union. So these are the, they have, even Guinea-Bissau now, they have lead agency of the transport matters. So that's why our government drivers, when they Bissau, they're very mindful the way they are driving. Because most of them, if you involve any traffic offense, they will tell you one, Portuguese language. You already know, we already told you this. You need to be careful.
So the difference is what? Enforcement?
Yeah, enforcement. Like, for example, in Bissau, I was driver. In 2011, I drive in Bissau. I used 1 week. That's my fourth day in Bissau. The policeman stopped me. I said, oh, he said, I told you. He said 1 week. He never saw me. Because why? He expect I'm a driver and I need to know traffic and traffic signs. So enforcement is the most important aspect here. But enforcement cannot go along. You also need to be supportive, like this Maslaha Center. So I think we, Gambia, need to come together to work, because in this process, since 2 to 3 years ago, we are in this process. We are doing a lot. But now, the outsiders, are they following the activities? Are they trying to build their capacities? Change their some attitude? The everyday traffic is getting worse. So that means sometimes you feel, if people are not listening to what is happening. So I think most important aspect, we need to come and have a, like, I don't know how to call it, I'm not speaking on behalf of the minister, but a national dialogue on this subject matters. Because it's killing, it's damaging properties. After here, we all go home. We see what is happening at night time, at the roads, even zebra crossing, etc. So these are the multifactorial issues. But if we have a natural dialogue, we bring our consensus, we put it in, I think we put it in the high gear. We have political will, most important aspect again, political will. Because sometimes it's very important. Because most of them, we are not at government, organization, these are from ministry, but we have the politicians like the ministers, the permanent secretaries, the MPs, the presidents are speaking on this. End of the day, we have the good way to tackle these issues. It's not a difficult thing. What means how to put our heads together to fight against it.
I think, yes, you see, like in our previous discussions, road in every, what science has, or what the international committee has agreed on is that you need to look at 5 strong pillars: overarching, interdependent, complementary. You don't only look at one. One of them is the road management, road safety management. There has to be a system in place that will manage. That management is a big box of its own. We can discuss that for many programs. Now, the other one is you have to have, the second pillar is you have to have safer road users. There must be policies towards that. How do you save all the road users, whether vehicles, whether human beings, how do you do that? That's another kettle of fish. The other one is safer roads itself. The road itself, is it safe? The engineering will come. All the other things will come. Whether you talk about those road signs and everything, they all fall into that. The other one is safer vehicles. Safer vehicles. Now, even if you have all these other ones and these vehicles are not safe, I always say a good example is, do we assess the risk of some of the vehicles that we bought every other day? Like Jelajel is one example. Some of these vehicles are not designed for taking passengers, human beings. They are designed for carrying, goods in some countries. But when we come here, we convert them to commercial vehicles. And now, in that commercial vehicle, using as a commercial vehicle, what is the risk there? That's why I'm saying the risk perception. The risk assessment is what is lacking here. Can we, before we give lines, how do we improve the risk? How do we reduce the risk in that vehicle? One is in those naked metal. Yes. They wound you before there is a crash. You are wounded. If you are not careful, if that is protruding and you are entering, You can have, and that is just before the vehicle has not even moved. What about if that vehicle is traveling at 100 kilometers per hour? You dead. Because the kinetic energy that comes from that vehicle is a problem. So you can see safer vehicles, we can also discuss that many programs cannot finish that. The other one, the fifth pillar, is post-crash.
Management. How do you manage?
We are talking about all this, but what happens in the hospitals is also very critical. Do they have the capacity? Do they have the resources? And that also, so you cannot talk about road safety without these 5 essential pillars interwoven. They are interwoven. If you talk about, like we are talking about today, a human being, the human error, that's not enough. The human error, even if you enforce, that's not enough. Because till now, no matter whatever method we use, there will still be crashes. That's why the world is following Sweden, which is called zero vision. Zero vision simply means, in fact, most of these developed countries are using that, and they have very reduced rate of death and injury serious on the road because of the zero vision, meaning that you have to accommodate, human error, that human beings must make mistakes. That one, you cannot avoid it. But what do you do now to make sure that when they make the mistake, you can now reduce the burden of that mistake? That means that now you have to invest in the systems approach. That systems approach will now look at what do you do? What services what services are available? How timely is your service? How, integrating is your service? And also, how the human resources, are they available? And if the vehicles are also forgiving vehicles, the vehicles that are designed, even where there is an impact, when they knock a human being, the impact will be less because the vehicle is designed that way. So industry also has its own. So my brother, this is a very huge box. You can imagine. So the hospital also is very important. It has to be ready. And I'm glad that we have got some trauma experts here. And then although the number is still not enough, nobody can have enough of this. But all that is important is we have to look at these 5 essential pillars. If you only depend on one and leave the other, this problem will never be solved. And that's what the developed worlds have used, and that's why they have made gains. So it's not like pointing a finger at the driver only or a road. There has to be safer vehicles, there have to be safer road users, there have to be safer roads, there has to be, the post-trauma, when there is a crash, the hospital must be ready, and also management, because when the head is rounded, the arms are useless. Thanks.
Absolutely. Earlier on, Mr. Cisse there sort of questioned government's political will. I wonder, your ministry, as far as you're concerned, what you have to do you see, what would you point to show that actually there is the political will? The ministry's done A, B, C, and D.
Of course, there is a political will. Perhaps we may say, it depends. You may say, okay, you may see it differently. People's view are different. But I would say there is a political will. Why do I say so? The issue of procuring some monitoring tools to see that drivers are monitored on our roads, that is a will. The issue of providing resources to invest, when I say resources, meaning to sponsor for these kind of programs, is a will. So we can count them. We can count them on and on. So there is a will, but perhaps it's not enough. We still need more. We still need more in order to do a lot. Yes.
How would you respond to that?
Yeah, I agree. It's not enough, but they are doing something.
You are the one who raised it.
Because our transport sector up to 20 years now, they are doing something, but still we expect more from them. They are trying, but still we expect more and more so that we can save life outside there. Because still we are seeing road crash every day. As Mr. Uncle was saying, it's not an accident. We cannot call it accidentally because we can prevent them. So, but we expect more so that we always reminding them we need a political will so that they can double their effort.
Yes,
Yeah.
you call it preventable events.
They are predictable and
preventable.
preventable. So this is why do you call it accident? You can predict them and you can prevent them. And I think I tend to agree with what they're saying. What is important here is, like I said, always bear in mind that these 5 pillars must work together. Yes, the resources must be available, and he mentioned about a lead agency. And I'm happy with what is happening at the moment, because road safety, in some countries, they are struggling because they think it's one sector that can only handle it. But I'm glad the Ministry of Transport has created a platform, a multi-sectoral platform, including even the representative from the drivers and other sectors, which is, this is the way to go. But that is not enough, and I think they also established a committee, you know, a road safety technical working group, which is headed, which is at another supranational level. You have the committee, which is also the policy makers. So you can imagine.
You're part of it, obviously, the ministry.
Yeah.
Yes. Yes, the ministry has this committee, the national committee, not the ministry per se.
Yeah.
Let me say we have this committee which comprises of various ministries and other government agencies like National Roads Authority. It is chaired by the Honorable Minister, of course. And then we also have the working group, the multi-sectoral working group. So there is a will. There is a will. It's just that we should push up things a bit.
Yes.
Yes.
But how is dialogue between government and the General Transport Union?
Very cordial, because we are sitting at the Road Safety Committee at the ministry level. At the same time, we are part of the Road Safety Working Group. Any road safety activities, we make our input, or bring our opinion, and come with our recommendation. I used to have a meeting. We have series of arguments, but finally we are all looking for what we can do together, because this road crisis affecting all of us. But we have a very good dialogue. Maybe some outside will think, but we are working very closely, daily daily basis. Even recently, it's not part of the program, but even tomorrow because I suppose I will go out of box. Tomorrow we need to have a countrywide, road safety tour from Bara to Banjul, starting tomorrow. These are the stakeholders, including the union, including WHO, Ministry of Gender, National Road Authority, Red Cross, university, SAPEC, relevant stakeholders, to discuss with the general public, particularly the road users. The key of them, driver. So discuss with them, what is their observation at the road? What is the challenges? How can you mitigate this? The road crashes at the highway. Tomorrow we're going to start it at North Bank, I think, if my bank is yes. North Bank. We go up to Basse and come back. So it's multi-sectoral thing. We are all stakeholders, so that we all discuss it together to see how to mitigate it. I think that's very important. We are very coordinated. It's not easy, but we expect more support from other people, the listeners, the general public, so that we can discuss it and make it discussion into our platforms, our radios, so that we can guide our people, particularly the students. Because the compound here, the parents have very important role to play. But sometimes in highway, you see very young child at the highway, very small, little age. I think that also is those people didn't know anything about the road safety issues or crossing and etc. So I think the parents also have a very important role to play. But the ministry is doing good, the committee is doing good, but still we expect more, so that we can say if you go up to 20%, we dropped up to 20 or 40. I think we'll say now we can say Alhamdulillah. But still, we need to do a lot.
Yes, and Mr. Gassama, I take it that in some of these committees, the WHO will have some kind of representation. That's it. So tell us about some of the programs in which the ways that you are helping in this area, the ministry and the
certainly. As when you know, WHO, it is not a funding agency; it's a technical organization, and we have been involved from day one. When they were when the Ministry of Transport was developing the National Road Safety Strategy, which has never been available in the country, and we thank them very well. I think it started in 2021, if I remember, 2020 or 2021.
2020.
exactly.
It's
So
a 10-year
that we have been
life,
fully involved in that, and because WHO's business is to generate the science, guide the countries they know their context, use the sign, and then manipulate with your context. That's it, manipulate the science with your context. So that is what the good news that we've been part of that, and we've been also involved in the, fully involved in the road safety working group, and where we also share best practice. And as I speak to you now, there is even these the WHO and not only the Gambia but member states, in collaboration with member states, are now preparing the next global road safety report. And the guidance is all coming from WHO. All the 194 countries at this moment, they are on that exercise. So we are guiding and making sure that countries are well guided, and they need the data. How do we guide them to get the right data? Because the data is a key, is a big problem. You never know. Sometimes when we count, the numbers are always low, in developing countries because of the data, the system that we have in place. It doesn't capture all the calamities that we have on the roads. So this is what WHO, and it has developed so many tools, manuals that will help policymakers, not only policymakers, even manual for training drivers, manual for orienting policymakers, manual for even academia, universities. So a lot of, and even trauma. How do you take care of trauma, very highly traumatized, casualty, patients? How do you, arising from road traffic crashes? So these are all things that WHO has prepared. And I believe not long ago, last year, I'm very happy to say that the Ministry of Health is doing a lot of well to, I think there is a trauma plan, a national trauma plan, which has never happened. They consulted a very important firm. Edward Francis Teaching Hospital was spearheading that. Of course, that's through the Ministry of Health. And now, hopefully, I don't know where the status is now, but Gambia is going to have a trauma plan, and that trauma plan is going to help us manage the calamity. That's the sort of systems approach I'm talking about. So we are moving gradually. That's why I'm saying you cannot leave one box, consider one box and leave the other. Whilst the management and others, other sectors are doing their bit, but the health sector is also trying to prepare itself, because remember, we are going to continue seeing more accidents. I keep saying more accidents. I'm sorry to use that word, simply because the exposure to vehicles is getting higher and higher. That's why we have more people, and the more people you have, the more vehicles you have. Suddenly there will be collision. So the only thing that, because we are in a developing country, we cannot separate. Some of our roads are multi-purpose. Donkey cart is there, the bicycle is there, the motorcycle is there. We are all using the same road. But others, because we don't have the resources to separate the vulnerable road users from the, for the motorized, vehicles, whatever you want to call it. So we don't have that capacity. So what do we do now? All we need to do is now to educate, follow the 3 E's, educate, enforce, and follow the engineering, and hopefully we'll get there. Yes, it's a very complex phenomenon.
Absolutely. But I wonder whether you engage directly the drivers themselves. Have you ever had any programs, as it were, in this area?
Well, in this area, I remember very well, I was fortunate to be one of the resource persons training drivers, both government and private. I was commercial, government and commercial. This was hosted by MDI, and I think I don't know, for some reason I was invited as of course WHO was invited.
Very well. There was this training
so there was a training program that was conducted, and we were invited. So exactly. I was one of the facilitators. We also trained those drivers basically on those critical risk factors. Yes, speeding was one of them. Speeding was, because speeding is a killer. It's a factor in all the road crashes. Like he said, it increases your chance of being involved in a crash, and also it increases your chances of being being involved in a fatal crash and or having serious injuries. So that a lot of issues were discussed there, and I think I agree with my brother. There is room for improvement though, but we are moving gradually, slowly. Hopefully we'll get there. It's not easy. That's why I hate people when they only talk about road safety, only talk about the drivers. It's not only the drivers when you talk about road safety, because we are human beings. That error must come. But the other side of it has to visit the hospital, and also we need to look at the vehicles themselves. Are they roadworthy? Are they roadworthy? All these things are, you assess the standards. The standards are there, set for vehicles to apply on our roads. Are they? Because road safety is not only about road traffic injuries or death, but also indoor air pollution, pollution generally, outdoor air pollution. The carbon monoxide that's coming out. I was in one of the vehicles when this thing carbon monoxide, oh my God. That is not like a road traffic crash. That is another very, very important aspect of road safety, because that also helps, that also kills. As I speak now, globally, 3 million people die globally every year as a result of outdoor air pollution. Can you imagine this? And most of them are caused by these vehicles. Sometimes that's why these old vehicles, they are parked. They don't come. When in Europe they have the standard. They don't. There must be a way to recycle them. But unfortunately, because poorer countries cannot afford all those, they come. But we also have to be mindful, sensitive to those things. So road safety is not only about crashes, but it's also about pollution. Absolutely. Which we don't discuss now.
That is very true. But then, Mr. Cisse, of course, traffic accidents, we cannot blame drivers all the time. But I wonder, did your members attend the trainings they were talking about?
No, some of them, but our members are many. Yeah. But recently we are working some programs with the stakeholders, how to improve road safeties, because my personally, Gassama helped me a lot, because most of the meetings I'll be attending, particularly the road safety discussions, I'll attend series of programs at the radios and TVs. So it's not late, but we are doing something. I think we continue to collaborate and see what we can do together to mitigate road crash in this country.
Absolutely, we're coming towards the end. Mr. Gassama.
Yes.
Was it last week or week before? In the news, your minister.
Yes.
We want to get what? Is it the zero vision thing? Zero accidents or zero fatalities?
Zero vision.
Zero fatalities by 2030. Is it realistic?
Yes, it is. It depends.
What would you point to? What have you done so far to tell us that you are in the right direction? It is realistic.
Well, as we are discussing, all these, it cannot just happen overnight. It has to be step by step. So, but we are on the track. Like Mr. Gassama said, it's not one size fits all. So you have the enforcement bit of it, you have the engineering bit of it, you have the education and all that. So, but we are on it.
Absolutely, you're absolutely correct. Final words, we've come to the end. What would be your final words?
My final words, let's try to drive safely. I think we all know accidents are many in this country, or road crashes are many in this country. We are the cause of those road crashes. So, drive safely. Life you will say you can be your own.
Absolutely. Mr. Gassama,
30 seconds. Let's not be aggressive on the road. Thank you so much. That's what I was saying.
Gassama, you want a final word?
Yes. Let us not be angry when we are driving. Let us exercise patience on our roads.
Thank you very much. We'll finish with your theme. The life you save may be your own. Yeah. I think it's a worth it theme. Thank you very much, viewers. We were just watching the WHO, Gambia General Transport Union and Ministry of Transport program on dangerous driving or aggressive driving. Let's avoid it. Thank you very much. Until next time, good night. I'm Mahmoud Mboch.